here goes nothing. Yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah, that's what we're on to. Obviously the initial darkening as it gets wet. What we really want is for obviously the structure not to change, and for the translucence or opacity to come back as it dries off. Now this stuff does, I think, have a little bit of, I'm not sure whether it's 100% propanol or whether there's a little bit of water content on it, but all right, so there we go. So I'll put consolidant here, not here, and yeah, it looks like the vellum just goes back to normal. So I think I can safely treat this whole thing with consolidant, and that'll hopefully stop a darkening or transparency setting in when we apply the glue, which is really important. Okay, showtime. So we have the book here. I folded over the toweling just to really protect the text block as best we could. The vellum's here. It's wet at the moment, and when I got it wet, it immediately rolled itself back up into a scroll, which actually could be kind of helpful, because I think it's going to help sort of getting the vellum over the top and bottom of the boards where, you know, there's very, very little sort of leeway to play with. Glue, instead of using the bottle, I actually put some in a pot here with the brush. That's going to enable me to move really fast, hopefully, together with lots of paper clips, little bulldog clips, so I can hold things in place. Got some pins as well, scissors, so, you know, and lots of toweling. That's the most important thing, so we can get ourselves out of trouble if we get glue in the wrong place or anything else untoward happens. So, start with the end in mind. What are we aiming for? Well, here's a vellum book. This one is from about the same time. This is 1645, so very similar time period. As you can see, the actual vellum itself is, first off, it's thicker. This is a thicker piece of skin. So we're obviously using two pieces, one on top of the other, to try and compensate for that. Notice how it's folded over. Very typical of the time. So I'm going to be doing the same thing. This is obviously a much thinner book, so it's not going to be quite as, you know, I may close the gap completely, or maybe not. We'll just see how we go and how much we have to sort of play with here. If you look here, now one difference is with the book I'm doing, we're not going to have these three bands sticking out. I want to keep those hidden because obviously that's a modern thread. But I am going to have the corner pieces, so it'll be faux. It won't be directly related to the structure of the book, but it'll look, you know, it'll be vellum, you know, it'll look authentic. So I think that's going to be an appropriate thing to do with this book here. So okay, so we're going to put this guy aside just for now, and then move to actually getting the vellum itself ready. So lots of toweling needed for this. Now, as we've learned, vellum will stay supple until the very last minute when it finally dries and stiffens. So we've got some time to work here. What I've been doing is I've been stretching it as best I can out this way to try and maximize the amount of vellum I have to fold over. It's going to be interesting to see just how much it actually supports me in that endeavor. Now, in terms of how much vellum we need, just measure with the book. So basically this, if I fold this over like that, I've actually got more than enough to actually go around the spine of the book. It won't actually take any harm if I just plonk it on here for a second, slightly down, but not really. So if I put it like so. See a little bit of a fold over there, a bit of a fold over there. So I think there's enough here in this strip to do this twice, which is good. Not by much, but enough. So I'm going to do oops. Okay, so there's our first bit, like so. All right, nothing for it now. So I think what I'm going to do is go for the spine first and then work my way out. And I think I'm going to use just a random weight here and just stop it curling, and then like so. And I'm going to start painting from the middle here and go outward. This is where we're going to find out exactly how vellum and glue respond to one another. This is either going to be a triumph or a disaster. But you don't know unless you try. Good philosophy for life, frankly. Okay. That feels relatively even. Actually, I think I'll start at an edge. I'm not going to start in the middle. Really is going to be very touch and go. Getting to from the top to the bottom here. Now the good news is I can sort of stretch it in situ, and the glue is helping me here. I didn't expect that, but that's actually really cool. Over we go. Same thing. The glue is kind of working its way in, and just trying to put a bit of a scroll forming at the top there that I don't want. Like so. As you can see, it's completely translucent at the moment, all showing through. Actually looks kind of cool. Look at that. So I've got this little strip at the end here, which I'm going to let just stay there, frankly, because I want that to be a fold over, potentially. You get a sense of just how important it was to put the white layer underneath here. So what I'm going to do now, this obviously was going to be a two-stage process given doing 2 layers. So I'm going to leave this on a double thickness there on this side. Double thickness here this side. Like so. And I think what I'm going to do is simply put the glue on top. And I'm going to let it stay like that because I think that will give us the best results in terms of its setting. Honestly, I will be honest, I am making this up as I go along, but my instinct is that'll give us a good result in an hour or two. Just a nice even pressure. And then we'll do the second one over the first, and we'll see just how much show through we get. And I don't for a moment think we're going to necessarily get to this level of completely white opacity, and frankly I'm not particularly chasing that. I don't mind a little bit of print showing through, but I think if we just end up with a nice vellum with a nice fold over here, these edges hopefully sufficiently covered, which is the other critical thing I want to make sure happens, then I think we'll be in good shape. The one thing I haven't done, now I think this through here, while this approach will probably work for the main surface, the one thing I'm slightly concerned about is whether I'm going to get these edges here folded over. So I'm probably going to do this one. Let's just experiment. I wonder whether it would work if I were just to put a clip here like that. Don't know. I think it's going to disrupt the placing of the weight on the top. I think I'm going to have to get a little bit more sophisticated in terms of how I do these edges when I put the second one on. But I think for now, I want the glue to set and bind. That's more important to me. So to do that, I need to just get a weight on. That's the most important thing for now. Okay. Okay. So one layer of vellum's on. So far so good, I think. I actually think the where you have a little bit of the mix of manuscript and print coming through there is actually really pretty cool. Strings are showing through a little bit more than I'd hoped, even though I put that sort of thin strip of paper over the top, so probably a lesson learned there. I was a little lazy here just at the top and tail with putting the paper on. So what I'm going to do first is just put a little bit of gluey paper on just to put a little bit of extra masking in before I put the second tranche of vellum on, like so. Just here. And just like that. It'll just mask the darkness a little bit, just like so. Lots of Christmas noise going on upstairs, actually, above my head here, down in the basement. Like so. Okay, so here's the second piece of vellum. Same principle applies. What I'm going to do is probably put this section of vellum that only had a signature on over here,
like that. So again, I just need to make sure that it's wide enough this way, which again, it's going to be close, but I think we're going to just about be all right. And so that'll go on there. It's certainly more than long enough to wrap around, which is good news. So previously I'd actually I'm humming and hawing over whether to put the glue on the vellum, on the wet vellum, or on the book. I think I'm going to stick with doing it on the wet vellum. I think I just get a slightly more even result, and I sort of go counter to the way it wants to scroll. Like so. Going to be a little bit. Okay. So again, I want again, I'm putting a little bit extra on the end because I want that fold over. And same on this side. Again, it's going to be just enough. Not by much, but just enough. I want to remove the bubbles. Gonna work it out. This is where it's almost like, you know, sort of putting a screen protector on a phone or something like that. If you have a credit card or something, some similar flat edge, you can kind of just work away there. So okay, so there we go. Sort of tidy up a little bit. Again, now we're going to resort to lots and lots of absorbent paper. Now the one thing I didn't do before was actually have it, I'm actually going to have a piece of it actually fold over so that we actually get the absorbency working on the spine as well, not just the bolts. Okay. So that's what we're aiming to do. I just want to make sure that it's as flat as possible out to the corners and so on. Now even when this is done, it may not be quite perfect, so there's going to be, I may have to do the odd little bit of sort of steaming and resetting here and there. And certainly we want to get rid of any dirt like that. We don't want that, that's for sure. It could be dirty in 100 years, don't want it dirty now. There we go. Good. All right, that's probably going to be enough toweling to really get the absorbency going here. Then we have some old 1869 Thackers, courtesy of Smith Elder. Always make for good weights, those books, nice and solid. Okay, so that's a pretty good stack there. All right, so we'll leave it to dry, and then we'll have a look at how we can sort of put some paste downs in out of using the old flies, and then just titivate to make it look really nice. Okay, so I've let the vellum start, the second layer start to dry, and then I took the weights off I just want to make sure this fold over is working as good as I can get it. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be at all surprised if I didn't. end up having a couple of goes at just getting this fold over just right. But you can see this is, yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with the way this is starting to evolve. So it's going to be a little bit of excess there. So what I'm going to do probably is, I don't think there's going to be any sort of shrinkage or slippage here that I need to worry about. And this has kind of worked out well as well with that extra bit of whiteness there is barely noticeable now. So in actual fact, what I'm going to do is allow it to dry naturally. So in order to do that, I'm going to just put the fold overs just straight down here. Then just put some Thackeray's up there like that, just to, like so. So I'm gonna just leave that now to dry like that. And once that's dried, what we're gonna then do is a couple of things. I suspect we're gonna end up just titivating the edges a little bit where they're a bit rough. The other thing we're gonna do as well is actually just put the vellum strips in each corner, which is something that I don't want to do that because I think it'll then look very much in keeping with the period. But yeah, no, that's it'd be interesting to see just how much of this continues to show through when eventually it has fully dried. I think there still will be a little bit of show through, and honestly, I think I'm probably quite okay with that. Yeah, that's looking pretty good here. All right, let's leave it to dry out for a couple of hours there, just in the heat of the house. So overnight, I left this with bulldog clips down both sides of the 4-edge folds. The idea being that the vellum would sort of set in that position, and that bit has worked really well. However, as you can see, unintended consequences have struck. I left the book up like that, sort of standing on the clips, and as you can see, what's happened is that although the fold has worked extremely well, the tension of the drying of the vellum has been so intense it's actually pulled on the board. So the boards have bent outwards as the vellum's contracted a little bit. So we've now got a book that doesn't fully close. What I'm going to be doing to rectify that, I think, is, and this is, I think this will work. Now, this is an experiment, I will say, is I'm actually just going to steam the two boards slightly on the outside and then immediately cover them with weights, some paper toweling and weights, and hope that it sets flat. Although I will say, even just having my book like this actually looks pretty cool as well. But I think that's what I'm going to do, and then it'll hopefully set flat, and then we'll be in a position just to tidy up the top and bottom edges again by steaming. We'll steam these edges, fold them over, clamp them with bulldog clips, glue them down like so, and then we'll be into the last step, which is just to put a paste down here, maybe a fly, and then we'll be able to declare victory. But if you ignore the fact of how springy the boards are, that's actually not a bad result for a first vellum restoration.